Skip to content chat history. You said, give me a complete motivational speech on the title. Kevin O'Leary, if you want to get rich, stop buying these 5 things without mentioning anyone by name. Before giving the speech, first write 5 powerful keynotes that summarize the core message and lessons of the title. In the introductory part of the speech, write the most engaging and impactful opening that captures the audience's attention and gives them a strong reason to watch the complete speech until the end. ChatGPT said 5 powerful keynotes, core lessons. Wealth is built by what you don't buy. Getting rich isn't about earning more, it's about stopping wasteful spending. Poor purchases steal your future. Small emotional expenses quietly destroy long-term financial freedom. Assets pay you, liabilities drain you. Rich people redirect money from ego-driven buys into income-producing assets. Discipline beats motivation. Consistent control over spending matters more than short bursts of inspiration. Delayed gratification creates financial power. Saying no today gives you the ability to say yes forever. Motivational speech intro. Hook, attention-grabbing opening. Listen carefully. Most people don't fail to get rich because they don't make enough money. They fail because they keep buying things that feel good today but destroy tomorrow. Right now, you're probably one decision away from changing your financial future, not by earning more, not by gambling on luck, but by stopping 5 habits that are silently keeping you broke. If you stay until the end of this message, you won't just learn how money works, you'll learn how wealthy people think when they spend and why that mindset separates freedom from lifelong struggle. The speech. Wealth doesn't begin with money, it begins with awareness. Every time money enters your hands, it is asking a question. Will you use me to impress people or to empower yourself? The first thing that must stop is status spending. Buying things just to look successful keeps you permanently unsuccessful. Expensive clothes, luxury upgrades, flashy gadgets, they don't make you rich. They make you look rich while staying poor. The wealthy don't chase approval, they chase ownership. The second mistake is new cars and unnecessary upgrades. The moment you buy them, their value drops. But your monthly payments don't. You're working harder every year not to build wealth, but to maintain a depreciating lifestyle. Third, stop wasting money on convenience addictions. Daily takeout, unused subscriptions, impulse online shopping. These are silent thieves. They don't feel painful because they're small, but together they steal years of your future. Fourth, avoid high-interest debt for wants, not needs. Interest is a weapon. Either you use it to grow wealth, or it is used against you to keep you trapped. Debt turns your future income into someone else's profit. And finally, stop buying dreams instead of skills. Motivation without action, courses without execution, plans without discipline, they drain money and deliver nothing. Skills pay dividends for life. Empty promises do not. Here's the truth most people avoid. Being rich isn't about deprivation. It's about priority. When you stop buying what doesn't matter, you gain the power to invest in what does. Wealth is built when you delay pleasure, choose ownership over image, and make money your employee, not your master. Every dollar you don't waste today becomes a soldier working for you tomorrow. So decide now, will you keep buying comfort or start buying freedom? Because the fastest way to get rich is not chasing money. It's stopping what's stealing it from you. Wealth is built by what you don't buy, because getting rich has far less to do with how much money you make and far more to do with how much money you keep. Most people believe the problem is income. They think if they earned a little more, everything would change. But the truth is, many people who earn more simply spend more, upgrade more, and trap themselves deeper into financial pressure. The real difference between those who build wealth and those who struggle is not salary, luck, or timing. It is restraint. It is the ability to look at money and not immediately turn it into consumption. Every purchase you make is a vote. A vote for comfort, for status, for impulse, or for freedom. When you buy something you don't truly need, you're not just spending money, you're spending future options. That coffee you didn't need, that upgrade you justified, that impulse buy that felt harmless in the moment, all quietly reduce your ability to invest, grow, and move forward. Wealth is rarely destroyed by one big mistake. It is slowly drained by thousands of small, unnecessary ones. Wasteful spending feels innocent because it rarely hurts right away. It feels deserved. You worked hard, you're tired, you want to enjoy life, but enjoyment without control becomes a habit, and habits shape destiny. The world is designed to make you spend. Advertising exists to convince you that happiness is one purchase away. Social media exists to make you compare your life to someone else's highlight reel. If you don't develop discipline, you'll always feel behind no matter how much you earn. People who build wealth think differently. They don't ask, "Can I afford this?" They ask, "What is this costing me long term?" They understand that money unused is not wasted, it's powerful. Cash held back today becomes opportunity tomorrow. It becomes capital. It becomes leverage. The wealthy delay gratification, not because they hate pleasure, but because they value freedom more than momentary comfort. Stopping wasteful spending doesn't mean living a miserable life. It means intentional living. It means deciding what truly matters and cutting everything else without guilt. It means recognizing that many purchases are emotional responses, not logical needs. Stress spending, boredom spending, status spending, these are reactions, not decisions. Wealth grows when you replace reaction with intention. When you stop buying things that depreciate, you create room to invest in things that appreciate. Time, skills, education, ownership, and assets that work while you sleep. Every dollar you don't waste becomes a tool instead of a toy. It starts working for you instead of disappearing the moment you swipe a card. There is power in saying no. No to upgrades you don't need. No to lifestyles you can't sustain. No to pressure from people who don't pay your bills. That no is not limitation. It is control. And control over money is the foundation of independence. Most people never get rich because they never learn to pause. They see, they want, they buy, over and over again. But the moment you create space between desire and action, everything changes. That pause is where wealth begins. That pause is where discipline lives. That pause is where you choose your future over your impulse. Getting rich is not about deprivation, it's about direction. When spending aligns with purpose, money multiplies. When spending follows emotion, money disappears. Wealth is built quietly, invisibly, through choices no one applauds and sacrifices no one sees, through the discipline to not buy what feels good now so you can own what matters later. Poor purchases steal your future because they don't announce themselves as dangerous. They arrive quietly, disguised as rewards, comforts, and small treats you think you've earned. A little here, a little there, nothing that feels irresponsible in the moment. But over time, these emotional expenses form a pattern, and patterns decide outcomes. Long-term financial freedom isn't destroyed by one reckless decision, it's quietly suffocated by repeated thoughtless ones. Most emotional spending has nothing to do with need. It comes from stress, boredom, insecurity, or the desire to feel successful right now. You buy to feel relief. You spend to feel important, you upgrade to feel ahead, and for a brief moment, it works. But that feeling fades quickly, while the financial consequences stay. The danger is not the price tag, it's the habit. Once spending becomes a way to manage emotions, money loses its purpose and becomes a coping mechanism. Small expenses are especially dangerous because they escape scrutiny. A daily purchase doesn't trigger fear the way a big one does. You don't calculate the long-term cost. You don't imagine what that money could become if invested, saved, or compounded. But those small expenses repeat daily, weekly, monthly. Over years, they turn into lost opportunities, missed investments, delayed independence, and extra years of working when you didn't have to. Every emotional purchase is a trade. You are trading future freedom for present comfort. You are choosing a short-lived feeling over a long-term outcome. Financial freedom requires clarity, and clarity disappears when spending is driven by mood instead of mission. When you don't have a clear vision for your future, it's easy for money to slip through your fingers without resistance. People who achieve financial freedom develop emotional control before financial skill. They feel the urge to spend, but they don't obey it. They understand that discipline is not about punishment, it's about protection. Protecting their time, protecting their energy, protecting their future choices. They don't eliminate enjoyment, they eliminate regret. Poor purchases also steal momentum. Each unnecessary expense adds friction to progress. You save less, you invest later, you hesitate more. And slowly, the dream of freedom feels further away, even though you're working just as hard. That frustration often leads to more emotional spending, creating a cycle that's difficult to break unless you become aware of it. Breaking free starts with awareness, not guilt. The goal isn't to feel ashamed of past spending, but to recognize the pattern and interrupt it. Before buying, ask a simple question. Is this solving a real problem or just changing how I feel for a moment? That pause can save years of effort. That question can protect your future. Long-term financial freedom is built on intentional choices made consistently. When you stop letting emotions control your wallet, money becomes a tool instead of a trap. Small, disciplined decisions, repeated over time, don't just improve your finances, they reclaim your future. Assets pay you, liabilities drain you, and the difference between the two is the line that separates financial struggle from financial strength. Most people never learn this distinction clearly, so they spend their entire lives working for money instead of allowing money to work for them. They buy things that look impressive, feel rewarding, and signal success to others, but those same purchases quietly demand constant attention, maintenance, and payments. What appears like progress on the outside is often financial pressure on the inside. An asset puts money in your pocket. It generates income, grows in value, or creates leverage over time. A liability does the opposite. It pulls money out of your pocket every month and gives you nothing in return except temporary satisfaction. The problem is that ego blurs this difference. Ego convinces you that looking successful matters more than becoming successful. Ego pushes you to upgrade, show off, and keep up, even when those choices slow your progress toward independence. People who build real wealth learn to ignore ego-driven buying. They understand that no one else's opinion pays their bills or secures their future. Instead of asking how something will make them look, they ask how it will perform. Will this purchase create income? Will it appreciate? Will it give me more control over my time? If the answer is no, it becomes far less attractive, no matter how exciting it seems in the moment. Redirecting money from liabilities into assets requires patience and humility. It often means living below your means when you could afford more. It means driving what works instead of what impresses. It means choosing ownership over appearance. These decisions rarely bring applause, but they bring results. While others are upgrading lifestyles, disciplined investors are upgrading balance sheets. Income-producing assets don't have to be complex or flashy. They can be simple, boring, and steady. The power comes from consistency. Every dollar placed into an asset becomes a worker. Over time, those workers multiply. Eventually, they start covering expenses, reducing dependence on a paycheck, and creating options. That's when money shifts from being a source of stress to a source of security. Liabilities, on the other hand, increase risk. They lock you into obligations. They reduce flexibility. They force you to keep earning at the same pace just to stay in the same place. The more liabilities you carry, the less freedom you have to take chances, invest, or change direction. What you own begins to own you. Wealthy individuals are not immune to desire, they simply delay it. They redirect excitement away from purchases and toward progress. They feel satisfaction not from what they display, but from what they build. That mindset shift is everything. When money is consistently redirected from ego-driven buys into income-producing assets, the financial equation changes permanently, and the future begins to pay you back instead of draining you. Discipline beats motivation because motivation is temporary, emotional, and unreliable, while discipline is steady, quiet, and powerful. Motivation comes and goes depending on mood, environment, and circumstances. One day you feel inspired to save, invest, and plan for the future. The next day you feel tired, stressed, or bored, and that inspiration disappears. If your financial decisions depend on how you feel, your results will always be unstable. Wealth requires consistency, and consistency is built on discipline, not excitement. Short bursts of inspiration often create strong intentions but weak follow-through. You watch something inspiring, promise yourself change, and feel energized for a few days. Then real life returns. Bills, pressure, temptations, and distractions slowly pull you back into old habits. Without discipline, motivation becomes entertainment instead of transformation. It feels good, but it doesn't last long enough to change outcomes. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It means setting rules for your money and following them regardless of mood. It means saving and investing automatically, controlling spending intentionally, and making decisions based on logic instead of impulse. Discipline removes emotion from the process. When decisions are pre-made, temptation loses its power. Consistent control over spending is far more important than occasional extreme effort. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to cut everything at once. What matters is that your behavior is repeatable. Small disciplined actions taken every month will outperform dramatic changes that only last a short time. Wealth grows slowly and discipline respects that reality. People who rely on motivation often wait for the right time to act. Disciplined people act because it is the right thing to do, not because it feels good. They understand that progress is built in ordinary moments, when no one is watching and nothing feels exciting. They don't negotiate with their goals every day. They commit once and execute repeatedly. Discipline also creates confidence. When you control your spending consistently, you trust yourself more. You stop feeling guilty about money. You stop feeling anxious about the future. That confidence reinforces the habit, making discipline easier over time. Motivation fades quickly, but discipline compounds. Financial freedom is not achieved through emotional highs. It is achieved through boring, repetitive, disciplined choices that protect your money and direct it with purpose. When discipline becomes your default, spending stops being a weakness and becomes a strategy. Delayed gratification creates financial power because it shifts your focus from the present moment to the future you are building. Most people live trapped in now thinking. They want results immediately, comfort instantly, and rewards without waiting. But money rewards patience. The ability to delay pleasure is one of the strongest predictors of long-term success because it allows your resources to grow instead of disappear. Saying no today feels uncomfortable because it goes against impulse. You feel the desire to buy, upgrade, or indulge, and your mind starts justifying it. You tell yourself it's small, that you deserve it, that you'll make up for it later. But every time you give in, you reinforce a habit of choosing short-term comfort over long-term control. Delayed gratification breaks that cycle. It teaches you that discomfort now can create freedom later. When you delay gratification, you give money time to work. Time is the real multiplier. Money invested early, even in small amounts, gains strength through compounding. The purchase you skip today may not seem significant, but over years it can turn into something far greater than the original desire. This is how ordinary decisions create extraordinary outcomes. Financial power comes from optionality. It comes from having choices. The person who can wait is the person who can walk away, negotiate better, invest smarter, and take risks when opportunities appear. Impulsive spending removes options. It locks you into routines, payments, and obligations that limit your future flexibility. Delayed gratification does the opposite. It expands your range of possibilities. This doesn't mean denying yourself forever. It means being intentional about timing. There is a difference between pleasure that weakens you and rewards that strengthen you. The disciplined individual delays small pleasures to earn larger ones. They understand that true satisfaction comes not from constant consumption, but from progress and control. Saying no today is an act of self-respect. It's a decision to protect your future self. Every delayed purchase is a declaration that your long-term goals matter more than a temporary feeling. Over time, those decisions accumulate into confidence, stability, and independence. Eventually, delayed gratification turns into permanent leverage. When your investments begin to cover your expenses, when your savings create security, when your assets generate income, you gain the ability to say yes without fear. Yes to opportunities, yes to freedom, yes to the life you chose instead of the life you reacted to. Everything comes down to choice. Not one big dramatic decision, but the small, quiet choices you make every single day when no one is watching. What you buy, what you resist, what you delay, and what you prioritize all shape the direction of your life. Money simply follows your behavior. When spending is driven by emotion, ego, and impulse, progress slows and freedom stays out of reach. When spending is guided by discipline, patience, and intention, wealth becomes inevitable. You don't need a higher income to change your future. You need clarity, control, and consistency. The moment you stop wasting money, stop feeding liabilities, stop obeying impulse, and start directing every dollar with purpose, the power shifts back into your hands. Financial freedom is not reserved for the lucky or the gifted. It belongs to those who are willing to think long-term, act deliberately, and protect their future one decision at a time.